Hey, Ed.
How are you, John?
I'm good, man.
Good.
Is this too close? Uncomfortably close? Or it's
I'm
okay?
cool.
Yeah?
I feel like we're about to review a movie, though.
Should we?
Yeah. What did we just see? Wow, that was amazing. Candles.
That's good. Should we do like one of these? Fuck, that makes me Ebert there. So listen, man. Thank you for doing that song.
It's a pleasure.
And I think Throwing Copper's now the legal drinking age, right?
It is.
Are we
It's
21?
21 this year. Yeah.
So what made you think, and I know you've been doing a lot of acoustic stuff throughout the years, but like, what made you decide, okay, start to finish, I'm going to just strip down these songs the way they were probably written, right?
Yeah.
And take it on the road.
Well, it started, with this whole movement into this solo chapter of my life about 6 years ago. It really in tandem with that, just the grabbing an acoustic guitar and going, I want to just reconnect with the craft of not just the writing part, but the performance, and do it in a way with the fans that just really gets to the nuts and bolts of what it's about for me, in the most sort of personal and intimate way, which is, like you said, the songs start there. So it was a really, but I'd never done shows like that. So that was a little bit of a step into the unknown for me, but I think the fans were really ready for it as much as I was.
So in terms of your other albums that have come out, I mean, would you consider doing Distance Here is something that I think is completely underrated in your catalog?
It's my favorite, actually, I think, from the 90s.
I mean, from start to finish, it's just amazing. Would you consider at some point, and I know that it wasn't as massive as Throwing Copper was, but I mean, would you consider, I know Jimmy Eat World just did Futures, and to a certain degree, Futures wasn't as successful as their first album. But they didn't give a shit, and they went through it anyway.
I mean, I do a lot of those songs throughout the shows anyway. I'm not one of the guys that goes out and goes, okay, I'm not going to play anything from before 2008, or before 2000. I always kind of get to as many places as I can, in terms of the discography, like all over. I would consider it. Yeah, I mean, after this, this turned into a 2-year, like it was the 20th anniversary that turned into the 21st anniversary tour. Just with the demand's been so great all over the world, and now we have this. That we're doing this sort of 2-man band version of it, which I've developed visuals for pretty much the whole album. So for songs, deep tracks that didn't have any visuals or any music videos, I was able to do some really cool stuff. And that's exciting to me, the idea of maybe doing something like that or expanding that into some other albums. There's something about doing the entire album that really, I come from that belief that the album is the journey, from start to finish. So to do that with the visuals has been a real treat for me and the fans.
I always think the true testament of a great album is you, at least right off the bat, don't necessarily know the song titles. Because you just, I mean, obviously, listen, Selling the Drama, I Alone, but like I remember so vividly, because this record, like, in the top 3 in terms of that era for me, that had such a huge impact. And yeah, I know all the songs now, title, blah, blah, blah. But it was one of those albums I listened to as a whole.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we kind of live in a singles-driven world now.
Shuffle play world, yeah.
Yeah, so that was cool. You brought up music videos, and I have to ask you, because my friend Steve at one point was obsessed with the I Alone video.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what the fuck was going on.
But
crazy. It was absolutely amazing. And just, what was up with the dancing? What was up with the camera things?
Well,
I mean...
It started with an idea that this Tim Pope, the director, is an amazing guy. He came up with it, and that we would play the song, twice as double speed, and that he would do this sort of half frame kind of thing, which would make it really dreamy and trippy. And then we got there, and there was like snakes, and there was all kind of, and I had this weird rat tail thing that I was doing. Everybody thought it was a Hare Krishna, and it wasn't, but it was more Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
You pulled it off, though.
Thank you. I still have it, by the way. It's gross, but anyway. So yeah, we just ran around, and the drummer couldn't play it that fast. So we were like, what's he gonna do? I'll just run around, and it just. I think it was my proudest moment in the '90s when it made it on Beavis and Butthead. I thought that was pretty great.
That's when you made it.
I was proud.
Talk to me about some of your other singles, okay? Like, I mean, I know, for example, Overcome might not be even Heaven. Like, some of these songs, I know Heaven got considerable airplay, but like a song like Overcome, which I associate now with 9/11, And there's so many songs that you've done that, again, wasn't on Beavis and Butthead. Wasn't on heavy rotation.
Sure.
What are some of your most personal songs?
Well, Overcome has, definitely has had a really magical life, and still. Just the sort of bittersweetness of the fact that it became a song that a lot of people, especially on the East Coast, were it was being played around 9/11, and I felt like it was a song that really just the time it came out, it was on the back of the record, it just sort of emerged. The Camera Planet grabbed it and made this really intense video of Ground Zero and that and the music, and did it completely on their own, and it just seemed like it was that time it captured, or was it helped people to sort of carry some of the depth of that emotion that everybody was going through. We play it every night. Actually, we finished the show with it, and I was able. That's one of the ones we're talking about, the visuals. I was able to go and say, okay, well, what's the song mean to me now? And of course, there's footage of the Freedom Tower now, so we have this sort of like full circle kind of thing. There's other more contemporary, like the Je suis Charlie rally in Paris is in there. There's like some. So what we're trying to do is just kind of say, okay, here's this song that hasn't changed, but yet everybody's grown with it. Everybody's grown in general, and myself included.
And I was going to say, returning to these older songs, I would think each one kind of takes on a different meaning now.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Or just maybe, songs are to the non-musician like me who has no musical ability. A song could automatically just transport you to that moment of time.
Sure.
Just like that. Same thing as musician?
Totally. And you mentioned that, just growing with the music, like Lightning Crashes, for example. Clearly I'm 44, and so a lot of my fans are, solidly into their families, having families now, and kids and stuff. And so when I wrote that song, I didn't have any kids. I was 22 years old. They were just a twinkle in my eye, as they say. And so now, I have 4. So for me, that song is just that much more, has just another depth of humanity to it for me. And I know that I share that with the fans who are still really interested in this music, and that, that song's no different.
Talk to me about new material.
Yeah.
Because I know that you put out a record, and I'm hoping you're putting out another record.
Yeah, I put actually I have 2 full-length albums as a solo artist and an EP. I'm working on a third thing now. This I'm a little off my schedule in terms of. I'm usually I'm good for every year and a half, 2 years.
Damn, throwing copper.
It's just
fucked you up completely.
Dang, 20th anniversary. 21st anniversary, it's turned into 2 years, and so it's just been a little bit behind on that, but I'm about halfway through. I'm hoping next year, maybe later in the year, for something full-length album.
Cool. Talk to me about your charity work, because I don't want to kind of let that go by, because you've always been a strong advocate of important things.
I've always, what's funny is that in live, we did, the music being so, personal and spiritual, and I was always, more sort of like insular, but like more like, okay, this is, my music is like really the politics of the soul, and I was never really like, I campaigned a bit for Barack Obama, and I did little things here and there, but it was really when I went solo that I focused a lot more on the charitable side, and I started to work with this incredible organization called World Vision, and they do a lot of their stuff. The way they assist is through sponsorships of kids, $30-$40 a month, and kid gets get off the grid and not have to go to work, and they go in and they go to school, and of course they go and they build up the community. World Vision's really good about that, going in. Okay, so it's not just one kid. Clearly he's in a community, so that will actually, that one kid being sponsored can actually help many people because they focus resources. We just recently, World Vision had done launched. They're the largest clean water NGO on the planet as well, and they started the Water Effect campaign, and I got my own page and kind of split off into that, and we actually have, I think, almost $60,000 or $70,000 on that site.
Wow.
And we recently, I just posted a few posts ago on my Facebook page, real pictures from 2 or 3 well projects that fans directly did, and so it's been pretty incredible the last 6 years how we've been able to do together.
Awesome. Last question for you. So I have a 3.5-year-old at home, but I also have an 11-month-old at home, and I want to just kind of cater to well, they're both young.
Yeah.
But any words of wisdom you can offer my 11-month-old right now, so that if he plays this back on YouTube in 15 years, or he's just totally difficult, that I could be like, well, you know what? Ed Kowalczyk said you should live life like this.
Yeah, I would just get a guitar, keep practice, and you got to have at least one rock band moment in your life. I mean, even if it doesn't, you gotta be. I think everybody should be in a band at least once, even if you can't play cowbell. Just be in a band for a few years, and you never know. I mean, we started the original band when I was 13 years old, so I have a 13-year-old now, so I'm going like, wow, that's a freaking band.
Give her a cowbell.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dave. It was a pleasure.
It was a pleasure.